Yo, what's up, slimes? This is Smeg, and I just got back from seeing the craziest movie that I've ever seen in my entire life. It's called Beau is Afraid, and it is a fucking wild mind fuck. Beau is Afraid is a movie that stars one of my favorite actors, Joaquin Phoenix, and it's directed by one of my favorite directors, Ari Aster. I know that everybody and their mom knows who Joaquin Phoenix is, but not a lot of you guys might know who Ari Aster is, so Ari Aster basically is the director of movies like Hereditary and Midsummer. Let me tell you, those movies are fucking wild. Beau's Afraid makes Hereditary look like the most normal movie ever made. Beau's Afraid is so fucking weird and crazy that it made my camera drop frames. You better get in a good frame rate, damn it! Look at this shit, watch this shit. Finally, this webcam cooperates with me. Jesus Christ. I never thought that this rivalry would end, but it finally did. There is peace in the cosmos now that my camera is at a decent frame rate. Now let's talk about Beau is Afraid. I am indeed going to be spoiling the shit out of this movie. This is not a spoiler-free review. I am going to be talking about this movie and examining it from head to asshole. So the movie starts off with Joaquin Phoenix's mom, or what we assume to be Joaquin Phoenix's mom, giving birth to Joaquin Phoenix himself, but in Joaquin Phoenix's point of view. So we see ourselves come out of his mom's vagina, and there's this light, and it's really blurry, and something's wrong. Something's clearly wrong. So now we fast forward who knows how many years to see Joaquin Phoenix talking to his therapist about how he's visiting his mom for the weekend. And of course, my camera, right when I start talking about this movie, my camera decides to be a fucking dick! So after Joaquin Phoenix is talking to his therapist prescribes him a new medicine that he has to take with water, or else there'll be severe side effects. So Joaquin Phoenix has this pill bottle and he's walking home, and it's revealed that he lives in an absolute shithole. This city makes Detroit look like a goddamn paradise. There's one shot where Joaquin Phoenix is walking down the road and you can clearly see someone left their stroller just right next to this bridge where people are buying and selling random shit. So some asshole left their baby out in the middle of the fucking road. And right next to that baby is some guy presumably loading his AK-47 that he just bought. It's wild. It is absolutely hog wild. So Joaquin Phoenix gets back into his apartment and he absolutely dreads the outside world. He is terrified of the people who live in his neighborhood because when he was getting into his apartment, some guy was fucking chasing after him. He's covered head to toe in tattoos and his eyes are like blacked out with contact lenses. He's just fucking running like right towards Joaquin Phoenix, and Joaquin Phoenix is terrified, so he closes the door on this guy's face. And the door is a real shitty door. It has a problem where it automatically locks itself whenever it closes. The building he lives in is also a shithole. There's graffiti everywhere. There are so many penises on the walls. There are people drawing penises. There's penis bandits drawing dicks on the walls. So Joaquin Phoenix gets back to his room in the apartment and he goes on, he watches the news. And there's this fucking crazed lunatic stabbing people, and he's fucking naked. So Joaquin Phoenix is even more scared of going outside than he was before initially. So Joaquin Phoenix's anxiety is through the roof, right? So he decides to take his anxiety medicine. And guess what happens right after he takes it? He realizes, oh shit, I need to take this shit with water. And he doesn't have any water in his apartment. He tries the sink, he tries the fucking bathtub at one point. Everything, dude. It's fucking wild. So Joaquin Phoenix looks out of his window and sees the grocery store has water bottles. He also sees in the middle of the road, there's fucking crazed lunatics fighting to the death. One guy's on top of the other guy trying to gouge his goddamn eyes out. It's fucking crazy. So after taking the elevator down to the lobby, Joaquin Phoenix goes over to the door of the apartment, the only entrance and exit, the shitty door that locks by itself. He makes sure it doesn't lock. He blocks it with a book so it doesn't close all the way. And then he just fucking books it. He fucking slams the door into somebody who's just like fucking half asleep or some shit. And they fucking fly into the wall. He runs across the road, jumps over the two fucking crackheads fighting. and he runs into the grocery store and downs a water bottle. And Joaquin Phoenix decides to be a courteous gentleman, unlike everybody else in the city that he lives in. He decides to pay for the water bottle. So he goes up to the cashier and he pays for the water bottle, but he decides to look back and he sees that literally everybody on the fucking road has one mission now: get into his apartment. Even the guys who were fighting to the death earlier just decide to get up and get into Joaquin Phoenix's apartment. And Joaquin Phoenix is terrified and he runs out of the store and he doesn't pay the exact amount. He's missing 5 cents. And the cashier threatens to call the police over 5 cents. And guess what fucking sucks for Joaquin Phoenix? He runs across the road and some asshole closes the door on his fucking face and the door slams shut. And of course it locks, because this door doesn't work properly. Joaquin Phoenix just fucking tries to get the door open and he can't budge. So Joaquin Phoenix decides to go up the fire stairs to see what havoc these people are wreaking in his apartment. And Jesus Christ, it's fucking wild. They're going ham. They don't give a shit about where he lives. They're gonna ruin everything about his apartment. They're throwing shit, breaking shit. There's people 69ing on the couch. There's people fighting to the death in his apartment. It's fucking wild. So he falls asleep on the fire stairs for the night. And he wakes up to a bunch of sawdust on his head because some asshole was drilling above him. Joaquin Phoenix decides to get back into his apartment via the door, which is broken because it's a glass door and someone fucking flew through it. It was implied that some guy just ran through the glass door. So Joaquin Phoenix is getting ready for his flight, right? Because he has to fly to see his mother. And he leaves his key in the door. So because he's panicking because he's late for the flight. And he moves his luggage out into the hallway. He runs back because he forgot something, this little statue that he bought of a woman holding a baby, because he wants to give it to his mother. And he comes back to the hallway to see that his luggage and his key are gone. So Joaquin Phoenix gets back into the apartment and decides to call his mother. Someone else picks up. And this guy says that he found the phone on a woman's dead body. And the woman is revealed to be the mother. So now, Joaquin Phoenix is mourning the death of his mother, and he can't even visit her. He hasn't seen her in so long, and she's dead now. He wants to go to his mother's funeral, right? But he has to get cleaned up first, so he gets into the bathtub, and he sees this fucking guy hanging out of the ceiling for dear life. And he falls on top of Joaquin Phoenix. Joaquin Phoenix is struggling to get this guy off of him. Joaquin Phoenix runs away, he's naked, and he runs out onto the road, and Joaquin Phoenix runs right into the fucking knife guy from the news, the naked knife goblin who just got done stabbing an innocent soul, and he sees Joaquin Phoenix and he fucking chases after him. He runs right into a cop, he's like, help me, man, help me. And the cop points the gun at him, he's like, drop the weapon. And at that moment, Joaquin Phoenix realizes that he's holding the statue that he wanted to give to his mother, right? And he's forced to drop it and it fucking shatters. And then he gets hit by a goddamn truck. So now he wakes up in a bed, right? He's rescued by this woman named Grace and her husband Roger. And he's in their daughter's bed, right? They're using it as a hospital bed. And because of this, the daughter's fucking pissed. And the daughter is a goddamn lunatic. She's like every teenager stereotype, but cranked up to the max. This little girl who's like fucking 14 or some shit, she's angry, she yells fuck you to her parents all the time, she yells, she screams, she's fucking crazy, and she fucking loves drugs, damn it! And it's also revealed by Grace that Joaquin Phoenix was stabbed after he got hit by the truck by, you guessed it, the naked knife goblin. And it flashes back to him fucking getting stabbed. Joaquin Phoenix has this huge wound in the side from the naked knife goblin, which means he can't fly to his mother's funeral. Hey guys, I'm back after turning off low light compensation in order to increase the frame rate of this video. Now it looks like I'm telling a fucking ghost story around a campfire. This is some bullshit right here. Where was I? Oh yeah, Joaquin Phoenix gets to meet the members of this family, which include Grace, Roger, and of course, the angry, angsty, marijuana-smoking teenage daughter. It's also revealed that they used to have a son, however he died because he was in the army and he died in battle. What's also important about that is that the family's taking care of this guy who isn't exactly all there mentally, and he was also in the army, and the reason for his mental illness is because he was traumatized. He lives in like a little trailer in the backyard, And the daughter fucking torments this guy. She's fucking knocking on the door whenever she sees Joaquin Phoenix doing something she doesn't like. She tries to provoke him and get him to flash back in order for him to beat the shit out of Joaquin Phoenix and make him think that Joaquin Phoenix is some sort of enemy on the battlefield. It's fucked up. It's really fucked up. This teenage daughter is a goddamn villain. There's one scene where Joaquin Phoenix basically has to stay over longer than he thought he was going to, and that pisses off the daughter even more. So she decides to drive Joaquin Phoenix home herself, despite the fact that that's probably a lie. And she's got a friend in the car, and they're smoking weed or something like that along those lines. They start recording Joaquin Phoenix, who's in the back seat, exhausted because of his wounds that he got from the knife goblin. And basically, they're forcing him to smoke weed, or else they'll say, both of them, they'll say that he assaulted them. They're recording this on their phone. They're basically forcing Joaquin Phoenix to smoke whatever they fucking laced in this joint. And he trips the fuck out and has a flashback to his childhood. He has this dream in which he sees himself from the point of view of his bathtub, right? And we see what we assume to be a young Joaquin Phoenix refuse to get into the bath despite the mother's demands. The next scene starts with what we assume to be around a day after this event. And Joaquin Phoenix is watching the security cam footage on the TV because Grace told him to switch to channel 78 on the TV. And he sees himself get pushed into a room by the teenage daughter. And what happens next is freaky as shit. The teenage daughter comes in and pushes him in to the dead son's room. And she's like, I want you to get fucked up with me, right? And Joaquin Phoenix is like, what are you talking about? And she fucking writes his name on the wall, Beau, in paint. She wants Joaquin Phoenix to drink the paint with her. And he refuses, so basically she downs the whole goddamn bucket of paint. And the mother hears him screaming, and she walks in the room to see the daughter dead with paint all over her face. She's freaking the fuck out because she thinks that he killed her daughter. So she yells, Jeeves, rip him apart! Which Jeeves is he's the guy that she's taking care of, the guy who was in the army. And Joaquin Phoenix just starts panicking because Grace starts attacking him and throwing him around like the Hulk. And he runs through a glass door into the backyard. Jeeves just starts fucking hauling ass towards him. He runs far into the woods and slams his head on a fucking low-hanging tree that's like knocked down. So he wakes up hours later in the middle of the night and he's lost, and he runs into this pregnant woman who leads him to this small little forest commune that this group of people are setting up a play at. And they're setting up this play in the middle of the forest, and it's like really, really well done. So Joaquin Phoenix starts watching this play. There's this guy with a chain on his foot and an angel, and the angel gives him an axe and he cuts off the chain. And the moment that guy in the play cuts off the chain, Joaquin Phoenix envisions himself in that world, in the world of the play. And he's on this adventure. And while he's on this adventure, the set pieces are changing around him, and it's absolutely beautiful. Whoever did the cinematography and the effects in this movie, they did an amazing job. They were absolutely brilliant. And Joaquin Phoenix is trekking this unfamiliar land for around like 15 minutes. It's like a 15-minute long scene. And he ends this journey as an old man where he reunites with his sons in this play. And it's actually established earlier that Joaquin Phoenix's character has a deformity in his testicles, in which if he ejaculates or has an orgasm, he'll most likely die, which is important because when he reunites with his sons, he's like, how do you guys exist? A detail I forgot from earlier in the movie is that Beau has a flashback in which he's on a cruise and he meets this girl named Elaine. And Beau is like 12 years old during this scene, and that's when it's first established that Beau can't have kids or else he'll die. So that's a very important plot point to the movie. After this weird play scene ends, Joaquin Phoenix basically snaps out of it, and I guess who fucking runs into the woods? It's fucking Jeeves, baby, with a goddamn gun, grenades, and everything. And what I forgot to tell you guys earlier is that Joaquin Phoenix's character, he has like this health monitor thing on his ankle, but it's actually a tracking device. And Jeeves is basically, he's after that tracking device like a fucking bloodhound. He is on Joaquin Phoenix's ass. And he just starts going fucking ham, blasting everything that he sees. And Joaquin Phoenix runs into the woods. Jeeves then pulls out the tracker and pushes a button that says incapacitate. And Joaquin Phoenix gets fucking tased by the device and falls onto the ground and knocked out for like the third time in the movie. And he wakes up around a day later. So after Joaquin Phoenix wakes up, he decides to hitchhike to his mother's house to reveal that he missed the funeral. He sleeps there overnight. He wakes up in the middle of the night to see a woman has entered the house, and she's basically cleaning up stuff, and she says that she worked for the mother. And it's revealed that that woman was Elaine from his childhood, and they meet after all these years. It seems as if things are finally good for Joaquin Phoenix after meeting his old girlfriend from his childhood. So they decide to go upstairs to the mother's bedroom and do what adults do best, if you know what I mean. And if you don't know what I mean, they fuck. They fuck hard, and they fuck nasty. Joaquin Phoenix, he's really scared because he feels like he's gonna die. He busts a fucking load and he screams and comes. He's fucking screaming because he's fucking terrified. And he's in shock that he didn't die. However, Elaine's fucking dead. And he's terrified. He pushes her off of him and she falls onto the ground. She's frozen solid. And then the mother walks into the room. Joaquin Phoenix's presumably dead mother. For the next 10 to 15 minutes, she has this monologue about how Joaquin Phoenix is the worst fucking child to ever exist, and how she provided nothing but love to him. And clearly, there's something wrong with this mother. And then Joaquin Phoenix brought up the dream he had. The dream in which he was dragged into the attic by his mother after refusing to take a bath. And then she explains, while bringing him to the attic, that's not a dream, that's a memory. Remember when I told you about that dream sequence when it was taken from the point of view of the bathtub? The person sitting in the bathtub was Joaquin Phoenix. So who was the little child from before that we assumed was Joaquin Phoenix? Who was the little child who was dragged into the attic? It was Joaquin Phoenix's brother. Joaquin Phoenix goes up to the attic and sees his twin brother, who's like all disheveled and has this massive beard. The only reason that Joaquin Phoenix could see him is because he's holding this little flashlight that constantly malfunctions. And he turns with the flashlight off, and we see this face, this weird monstrous face in the darkness. He turns on the flashlight, and there is a fucking penis monster in the corner of the attic with mantis arms, a fanged mouth, and creepy black eyes, and massive balls. It has massive balls. I am not making this shit up. There is a penis monster in the attic. And Joaquin Phoenix could only look at this thing. It is an 8-foot tall fucking dick with a face and mantis arms. And then we hear the breaking of glass. It's fucking Jeeves diving into the attic, and he's got this fucking combat knife, and he ignores Joaquin Phoenix. He runs straight towards the fucking dick and starts stabbing it in the balls. The dick monster does not like this. In fact, he's quite cross. So this dick, this monster cock, literal monster cock, lifts its mantis arm and fucking annihilates Jeeves' skull. Jeeves is fucking dead. And Joaquin Phoenix, he's fucking scared. He falls out of the attic, and his mother explains how that living dick was his father. And he decides to fight back against his mother, the psychopath, the evil mastermind behind everything. Her monologue revealed that literally everyone that Joaquin Phoenix interacted with was an actor hired by his mother. And that's fucking wild. So basically, he strikes back against her and chokes her to death, and she falls into the snake cage or something. He runs out of the house and gets into this boat so he can be anywhere but his mother's house. He's traumatized. And during this trek in his boat, he gets into this cave, right? and then the boat stops moving. The boat is confined to something, and then all these lights turn on. He's in this fucking water coliseum thing. I don't know how else to describe it. It's like he's in the middle of the coliseum, except he's in the water. And his mother's there. His mother is still alive. And there's this literal trial, like in a courtroom. On one side, there's a guy that's protecting Joaquin Phoenix, and on the other side is the mother and her lawyer almost. And they're basically arguing as to whether who's really the bad guy. And Joaquin Phoenix is forced to listen to all of this because the boat starts getting all fucking nasty and this cement starts filling in the boat and he's trapped inside the boat. His feet are encased in cement. Who is the bad guy in this story? Is it Joaquin Phoenix's mother or is it Joaquin Phoenix? It's really up to our interpretation, but basically the trial ends with the boat flipping over. And then the movie ends. I was blown away by this movie. Everybody in this theater, including me, we all left speechless. We didn't talk. I didn't hear any talking about the movie after it ended. That is how shocking the ending was. The only way to really capture the craziness and amazingness of this movie is to see it for yourself. And yet again, Ari Aster has made another absolute masterpiece. I am giving this movie a 9.5 out of 10. It is an absolute masterpiece, and I genuinely believe that Joaquin Phoenix is going to get an Oscar for this film. It is not only a movie, it is an experience. So yeah, see you, slimes.